You are now within seconds of horror because we are going to be looking at some creepy videos on the internet. And as always, let's go ahead and get right into today's video. In this first creepy video, when it comes to the blood moon, for some people, it was just your normal every other day, but for others, they witnessed and encountered things that they cannot explain, and so have I. I'll actually be talking about this on my other channel, Minutes of Horror. I saw something that was pretty abnormal. This video comes from Woods Walker Coffee on TikTok, and he is going to describe what he encountered as he was watching the blood worm moon.
Last night during the blood moon, something kind of odd happened. I was back on the back road doing my rounds, and like I said, you know, it's pitch dark back there. You can't even see a hand in front of your face. And I could hear crickets, I could hear frogs, I could hear coyotes in the distance. And I was standing there and I was watching the moon in the last few seconds when it was getting covered up until it became, you know, dark red. And just as soon as the moon became red, the crickets, the frogs, the coyotes I was hearing, everything went completely silent, which was kind of odd because usually when that happens, that means there's a predator around, whether it be a bear or whether it be a cougar. There's something in the area. But for that to happen at that exact moment, I don't know, it just kind of struck me as odd. And what was even odder was that I didn't hear nothing else, nothing, until the moon was visible again and it wasn't red at all. And once that happened, the crickets and the frogs started right back up. Yeah, but it was a pretty cool sight, but I don't know, I just thought that was odd. Right during that time, everything became dead silent. Just me in the darkness.
To me anyway, as I was walking my dog, I also noticed a very eerie silence during that time. Usually where I'm from, you will hear animals, bugs, and things like that, but it was just silent. And there was just also a very eerie feeling as well as it was happening. But again, to others, it was just your normal every other day. If you also encountered, witnessed, or heard anything strange during the blood worm moon, please do comment below, because I am very curious if anybody else felt anything strange as well during that time. In this next creepy video, this pilot believed he witnessed a orb, a UFO, or something else altogether. Now, he was 45,000 feet in the air with his plane, so whatever this happens to be was a lot higher.
Okay, so I'm in the cockpit of a plane. This is getting brighter outside the plane.
And then it turns.
When is it turning?
And it stops, and then
Wait,
it stops position, and then it goes away.
what is that?
And then there's two more
Where?
right below it.
Where? Point to where there's another one. Oh, and now there's two more. So what is this?
I don't know, man.
Look at it. Bright,
Could
throbbing, and then wait, and then it went away.
About a couple days ago, orbs were also witnessed in the skies above Florida during a very bad thunderstorm.
Okay, this was yesterday in Florida. The bad weather, but look at, if you focus carefully, that looks like a UFO above the sky. Can you see it? That's what I think. Emmeline here, share your thoughts.
I don't know what these orbs happen to be. A lot of people believe that what we're seeing in a lot of these videos is just Venus every time. Others believe that this could be some kind of UFO, some kind of spirit, demon, angel, what have you. But at the end of the day, they still have not gone away. They've just been heavily downplayed by the media. At one point, they were all over the place, the drones anyway. They never spoke about the orbs. and then suddenly news and media just stopped talking about it. I'll always believe that the drones themselves, they were the distraction away from the orbs. This next video comes from the Paranormal Files, and the face that he points out in this video looks very familiar to me, and I'm going to go ahead and explain why after he's finished.
Clearest picture of a spirit that I've ever seen. When this photo was taken, there was no woman present inside of the building. And when investigators checked the photos that they had taken that night afterwards, they saw this ghostly face of a woman. And what's really eerie about this is that this photo was taken inside of the Dumas brothel in Montana. And this location is known to be haunted by a number of women. I actually spent the night recently inside of the building where that photo was taken. Welcome to the Dumas brothel in Butte, Montana. Now, this place is haunted by a number of female spirits, and it has a pretty tragic history. So there were 3 deaths inside of the building, and all 3 of them could have been. In fact, one of the former madams of the brothel actually passed away up here in the upper floor of the building. And almost immediately afterwards, another woman took over her position, started driving her car, wearing her robes. So people definitely suspect it was. In the basement of the building is a very scary portion of the place called the Cribs. I was talking to the owners of the building, and they think that there may have been illegal baby sales going on in the basement. And they also think the lives of babies and children may have been ended. The energy in here is so dark, it's so scary, and it's violent too. I saw it firsthand. I just can't get over this photo. I think it gives very uncanny valley vibes, and when I investigated there that night and actually was in the pitch black inside of that building, I couldn't stop thinking about how freaky this photo was, and the activity that we caught on camera that night definitely matched the vibe of this picture. It was scary, it was intense, something choked my dad out. I was with my dad, he almost had to quit investigating that night. Yeah, the video is on my YouTube channel now if you want to watch it. It's so crazy.
Whoever this woman happens to be, she definitely looks shocked and surprised to see other people there. But going back to what I was originally saying, this face looks very familiar to me, and I was instantly reminded of a AI woman called Loeb, a face that kept appearing in AI photos, where people were saying that these AI photos are haunted.
AI art is not something that's terribly new, but have you heard about the woman that is haunting AI pictures? This is the face, and nobody can explain why she keeps showing up in AI images. If you look at her, she's not really general. I mean, there are specific characteristics here that are consistent. Again, nobody knows which prompts are generating this woman. Nobody knows why her face continues to appear in different models. So this has opened up one of my favorite questions about the idea that AI pictures can be haunted.
Now, I don't know whether or not AI can be haunted, but I always had a strange feeling of AI when it shows us certain things. I always go back to what Geordie Rose said, the founder of D-Wave Quantum Computers, that quantum computers and AI pull from different dimensions, alternate dimensions, and so forth. And I strongly wonder if AI shows us things that exist in other dimensions or parallel universes and so forth. But talking about photos that make people feel uneasy, I always found police sketches to be kind of creepy, especially when they come with a very chilling backstory. This next video comes from Crime with Court on TikTok.
I'm not certain about a lot in life, but one thing I am certain of is how genuinely disturbing this story is, and how you 100% will not sleep tonight because of it. This is a young girl who went missing in Mexico sometime in the 90s, and she was featured on a really popular broadcast called Community Service on Channel 5. This broadcast featured local missing person cases, but once Selena's case popped up, weird things started to happen, causing viewers to panic. What happened to Selena and everything that followed is extremely disturbing, so let's talk about it. So Channel 5 is a Mexican TV station that has been around since the 50s. The channel is aimed at children, with segments airing during commercial breaks on Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon. And while some might not think anything of it, it's actually pretty disturbing when you find out what exactly they're airing for kids to see. So each night, Channel 5 would often air a broadcast called Community Service, which features real local missing person cases. Every time it came on, it would list a ton of missing people, and usually a lot of information and photos would be attached to each case. The goal was to air this in hopes of finding these missing people and bring them home. This is a great way to spread the word on missing people, but some thought it was a little dark to do this on kids' channels, because after all, they are just kids, and these segments were known to be kind of sinister and bleak. But this was supposedly done on purpose to show young kids how scary the world can actually be, and in a way it was meant to teach them to be safe. This all had good intentions, but in 2001, Channel 5 featured a missing persons case that would unintentionally cause mass panic. Even to this day, in 2001, Community Service featured the missing persons case of 18-year-old called Selena Delgado Lopez, who disappeared on April 22nd. The year she disappeared has never been proven, although it's suggested that she disappeared sometime in the late 90s. What made this case stand out to viewers was this uncanny, poorly lit photo of Selena, and the fact that there was hardly any information about her disappearance besides her name, age, and where she went missing, which was in Mexico City. This was odd because everyone else that was featured on this broadcast had a lot of information and a ton of photos, but Selena's case didn't have any of that. Channel 5 aired Selena's photo and case for years, but it wasn't long until viewers started noticing something strange. Every time Selena's case and photo came on the TV, viewers started to get really uncomfortable and afraid, citing the nature of her photo as incredibly bizarre. Viewers noted how oddly terrified her photo made them feel, as it was super uncanny. Adding to the mystery surrounding this whole phenomenon is the fact that whenever Selena's photo would be featured, the TV channel would freeze and glitch out for a few minutes before the broadcast would abruptly cut to static. Because of the mass panic and strange coincidences like the TV glitching whenever her photo came on the screen, scary urban legends started to spread surrounding Selena and what really happened to her. Some said that Selena was met with a horrible fate and that her spirit haunted Channel 5 whenever her picture showed up on the screen. Others said that her photo was simply cursed. Some even went so far as to say that Selena was not a real missing person and that her uncanny photo was actually created using AI. And this theory was kind of backed up when people started looking into Selena's case and found no public record of her disappearance. It was around the time of Selena's disappearance and feature on Channel 5 that this photo started going around. It's obviously incredibly disturbing, and at the time, no one knew where it came from. Some pointed out the similarities between Selena's face and this one when lined up over each other, and videos about the glitches viewers would experience began circulating, just like this one.
XHGC Canal 5, al servicio de la comunidad. Pedimos ayuda para localizar a Selena Delgado López, de 18 años, se extravió el 22 de abril en la delegación Álvaro Obregón. Selena Delgado López, se ignora su paradero desde el 28 de mayo del año 2000. Selena Delgado López, de 18 años, se extravió el 22 de abril en la delegación Álvaro Obregón.
Although creepy, this photo is actually just a police sketch of Derek Todd Lee, aka the Baton Rouge Slayer. Derek was a serial killer who between 1998 and 2003 terrorized Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas. He killed at least 7 women, and before he was caught, authorities released this composite sketch of him. He was officially arrested and charged for these crimes in 2004, but somehow his composite sketch became associated with Selena's photo, thus fueling these really scary urban legends and stories about her death and disappearance. Like I said earlier, Channel 5 continued to air Selena's case on community service for years after the fact, because no one was able to confirm if she was actually a real missing person. And every time they did, viewers would still feel incredibly afraid and uncomfortable, and their TVs would all glitch. And as the years passed, this disturbing experience would remain a mystery, as would Selena's disappearance. Then in 2010, Channel 5 would begin to post some really disturbing photos and videos on Twitter. This is a video they posted. It's so creepy, and although it wasn't created by them, just reposted, no one knows why they randomly started doing this. Their Twitter account would be totally normal during the day, but every night, usually around 3 a.m., they began posting these disturbing videos, and by morning, they would all be deleted. One of the videos they posted had a caption mentioning Selena, and it is really creepy. When employees at Channel 5 were questioned about this, no one knew anything about it. That, in and of itself, is genuinely so scary to me, but then in 2020, Selena's disappearance and the urban legends surrounding it once again resurfaced, and this became known as the Facebook incident. In 2020, a Facebook page of a woman with the exact same name as Selena popped up. It started gaining some traction because users discovered that they had already been added as her friend, even though no one knew her, and none of them sent her a friend request. To their horror, they also discovered that there was no option to unfriend her either. This led people to believe that her profile was haunted and in some way connected to what happened to Selena. This profile was shared thousands of times, and while it is a little creepy, there was actually a really logical explanation for the entire thing. This profile turned out to just be someone with the same name as Selena, and she had really just changed her privacy settings. She removed the add friend option from her profile, and because her page was blowing up and she had no clue why, she privated her account, which is still there to this day. Although a lot about this story is still a mystery, there are a few theories that could explain what's going on with Channel 5 and Selena's disappearance. Theory number 1 is that Selena is a real missing person, and her lack of information is simply due to the lack of resources back then. There are a lot of missing people in Mexico, especially during that time, so maybe her disappearance was just never followed up on. If that's the case and she is a real missing person, it's extremely sad and her family deserves answers as to what really happened to her. Cable TV back then wasn't great quality, so that could explain the nature of her photo as well as the glitching and freezing on the channel. It could have really happened, maybe just due to technical issues. Theory number 2 was that Selena is not a real missing person, and it's been suggested that Channel 5 created her to fuel a fake urban legend in order to scare young viewers into being safe. It could be that this is all a hoax to shed some light on how unsafe the world actually is, and it could very well just be a publicity stunt to get people to watch the broadcast. Either that, or Selena's case and photo was created by someone else with the sole intent of scaring people, and Channel 5 didn't do its due diligence to make sure it was real before airing. That's weird to me though, because they continued airing her story for years after the fact. Some people lean more towards this being a hoax by Channel 5 simply because of the Twitter post in 2010 referencing Selena. Whether this story is true or not, it still gives me full body chills. It's now been 24 years since this story surfaced, but it remains a disturbing mystery to this day.
Whether Selena or Selena Delgado Lopez is a real person or just an urban legend created to scare children, it does come off very similar to another missing person, that person being Joanna Lopez. This next video comes from CV Nella on TikTok.
Let's talk about one of the creepiest moments in American TV history, the Joanna Lopez broadcast. But before we watch the video in its full and comfortable length, let's break down what happened. On January 14th, 1989, NBC Chicago was doing its early Saturday broadcasting, several PSA segments including an anti-drug campaign, a meditation segment, and a sign-off segment from WMAQ TV Chicago. Then after that, they cut to a national anthem segment, but then in the middle of the national anthem segment, it abruptly cuts off and it shows this. And yeah, there's no transition, there's no sound, there's nothing. It's just this picture for 20 seconds of a girl named Joanna Lopez, a missing banner, and a phone number to call. And a lot of people got creeped out by this. Like, this guy said this is like a real life analog horror. And this other person said that it's terrifying because of the low quality of the image and the lack of information and silence. Basically, it just freaked everybody out. But listen, guys, this isn't just like some analog horror. This broadcast was legit. Like, it actually happened. But what we don't know is if she was ever found, if Joanna Lopez was ever found. So if you guys know anything, let me know in the comments. Or if you guys have any thoughts, let me know. Because that picture's terrifying. That's a bad pic of her. That we wouldn't have been able to find her with that pic. So I'm just curious. Let me know.
There are even people talking about Joanna Lopez still to this day. And some people believe that she might not even be a real woman, that this photo, this person, might be a placeholder, and that the actual Joanna Lopez is a woman named Beverly Gail Sabo, who went missing back on February 5th, 1989, around the same time that this video of Joanna Lopez came out. And I have to say, they do look somewhat similar. In this next creepy video by the Paranormal Files, this is a pretty old story, but I think about it now and again because people were very entertained by this individual. He actually became a social media sensation. They loved his videos, but they still felt like something was very off about him. And well, it just happened to be confirmed that there was.
Edward was somewhat of a celebrity on YouTube because of the extremely bizarre videos that he posted all the time. These videos included a lot of dancing, lip syncing, and extremely disturbing and eerie expressions like this one above. Edward was born in the year 1932 in New York City. And from a young age, Edward wanted to entertain people, and that's what led him to Kansas City, Missouri. It was in Kansas City, Missouri, where in the 70s, he worked as the host of a children's program. This program, which Edward hosted until the year 1983, was called 41 Treehouse Lane. And like I said, this program put him around children all the time. Edward also hosted a late-night sort of variety show that aired on local stations, and he was known as this zany, bizarre guy with a lot of energy. Well, eventually, Edward started posting videos on YouTube as he got older, And people started seeing these videos, thinking they were really bizarre and funny, sharing them, and he became famous. But that's when people started to do Google searches of Edward and they found some disturbing history. You see, at one point in the past, Edward had been arrested for fondling children. And when people started to do searches of his name, they found all of these records and began to expose him. Eventually, Edward couldn't hide from these accusations. He was forced to move cities multiple times, but when the authorities in Florida found out that he was posting videos, they went and arrested him because typically sex offenders aren't allowed to be on the internet, especially not posting videos which kids can easily access. So Edward was then rearrested in the year 2010, sentenced to 5 years in prison, and he died in prison in the year 2012. His YouTube channel is still up, and if you want to see some creepy pieces of media today, you can go check it out yourself.
What is crazy to me is that you can tell somebody is hiding something. They have some kind of darkness inside of them just by looking at their eyes. And taking a look at Edward's eyes, you can tell that this individual had something very sinister hidden within his closet. So many people look past this and just saw him as a kooky, lovable grandfather. And it really just goes to say how many people that we walk past in our everyday lives that we think are just everyday people, but have something so dark and evil hidden within them.
I'm about to show you the scariest thing I've ever seen on the internet. On March 6, 2023, a Reddit user posted this disturbing photo. As you can see, it's just a photo of his kitchen late at night. It doesn't seem like it would be that disturbing. The user claims that for the last couple years, he's been hearing strange, unexplainable noises coming from his kitchen late at night. And then one night, he takes a photo of his kitchen from his living room. The photo captures this, and I know you're like, what am I even looking at? This is the photo itself, but let's zoom in on that dark corner. And then let's enhance it. We're overexposing it now. Who is that? The user has no idea who this could be and believes that this is the thing that's responsible for the noises and that it might be paranormal. Because that is clearly a man. Then you can kind of see the outline here. If you compare him to the fridge, he's really tall and he has no eye. But it gets scarier. A few days later, he left his camera recording overnight in the spot that he saw the figure before, like in the kitchen. And this is what he caught. So clearly that is like a figure moving in the dark, but look what happens when you up the exposure. It looks to be the same thing that was taken in this photo. So is this a squatter hiding in the apartment? Or is this something more sinister?
That video came from Grace Unfiltered on TikTok, and I don't know if that is a ghost or something else altogether. You can see the beard, the hair, the shoulders, the entire outline. But what would scare me even more is that somebody, an actual physical human, was staying in my home and I was not aware of it. Some kind of squatter, and that happens way more than people want to believe. There are news stories out there where people have learned that for years, somebody was living in their attic, and while they did not cause them any harm, the idea of it is still very unnerving. How many ghost stories out there or hauntings where people think there's something in their attic, they keep hearing a lot of noise, they're afraid to go up there, and after all that time, it was just a human living in their attic. This next creepy video comes from Ashley Inc. on TikTok. On my other channel, Minutes of Horror, I have spoken about the number 33 quite often and how often the number 33 appears in these very suspicious news stories. Did you know that Disney World has a Club 33 where you have to be of a so-called elite status to get on the guest list, and it can actually take some time to even become a member? And that's not a conspiracy theory. That is very true. You can see it for yourself anytime you go to Disney World. Now, I don't know if this next story is true or not. It's still very chilling at the end of the day, but you have to remember Walt Disney was into some very dark stuff. He would join L. Ron Hubbard and Jack Parsons into a desert, and they would practice what was known as Babylon workings, summoning dark demonic beings. Jack Parsons was a disciple of Aleister Crowley. Perhaps all of them were disciples of Aleister Crowley, who really knows? But they were on record having these dark parties and ritualistic gatherings.
I got an anonymous email from someone who claimed to have worked at the elite invite-only Club 33 at Disney World, the most magical place on earth, and the dark things that went on when this person was working there. Information in the email that this person shared is creepy to say the least. And honestly, this is the kind of story I live for. I love these weird, different, interesting stories. But I have to say a couple things before I start this one, because this person was so bent on being anonymous that they actually sent the email from a burner email. You can do that on the form on my website. Not many people do. They just asked me to change their name. But this person actually used a fake email to submit this story. They told me they were doing so because the confidentiality agreements that you sign when you work for Disney are so extensive, especially working at this club, that your life can be ruined if you speak on what you saw or what you did. That said, I cannot verify if any of this is true, and I spoke with my lawyer friend. He's not an entertainment lawyer, but I told him about this story, and he read the email, and he said that just to be safe, to put a disclaimer that this story is for entertainment purposes only. So, this story is for entertainment purposes only. There is no validity or truth to this that I can prove. Disney, please don't come for my head. I am a mother. I would like to bring my son there one day. I've also never been there. This person said that there's a lot of things about Disney that a lot of people don't know. For example, there's an extensive tunnel system that goes underneath the park that stretches for miles, but it's mostly not used. It's called a utilidor. And the majority of it that is used is underneath Magic Kingdom. There's nothing inherently spooky about this. It's mostly used as a cafeteria. There's some office spaces, and then there's also the zoo where characters get dressed. At one point, the park also did tours in this tunnel system, but they didn't show the lower level. This person said that they believe that one of the reasons they did tours into these tunnels was to prove that nothing sketchy was going on down there. So I don't know. Another thing this person said that many people don't know is that if you work there as a character, you're not allowed to say, I work at Disney World as Cinderella. You have to say, I'm friends with Cinderella at Disney World. Staff is not allowed to tell guests no unless they're doing something illegal. But basically, you can get away with whatever you want at Disney World as long as you're following the law. One final thing this person said was that the janitors have a habit of throwing their broom and dustpan into a river in Disney World when they retire. And the person who emailed me shared these facts that not many people know just as a way to prove their validity, I guess, or to be taken as a credible source. So you make up your own mind. And remember, all of this is alleged. Now, this person says that they worked at Club 33. They did not say how long they worked there or how they got this job, so I don't know. But Club 33 is not a secret. It is hidden in plain sight, but you can't buy your way in. You have to be invited, and the waitlist stretches years. This person said they worked at Club 33 for more than 1 year, but less than 10. And during that time, it was the best job they ever had until they started noticing things that they shouldn't have. If you've been to Disney, you've probably passed it. There is just a small bronze plaque marking its entrance. On the outside, it's just a nondescript door, but on the inside, it's something else. Inside, there's a full-service bar, an expansive dining room, chandeliers, and artwork from Walt Disney's personal collection. There is even furniture that supposedly belonged to Walt Disney himself, and most people that come there just come to eat and drink and have a good, exclusive time. There are places and things inside that even most members of Club 33 don't see. And most of the time, it's normal. It's just working for very, very rich people. But the first time that this person experienced something strange was working when a very exclusive group of VIPs were in. They were in one of the private dining rooms of Club 33, but this party was strange because nobody was eating and nobody was drinking. The person who emailed me was just working, and their only duty was to make sure that no one needed anything. They were not allowed to talk and had to stand in the corner with their hands behind their back watching this group. And all this group was doing when everybody came in and was seated was sitting at the table in silence, staring at a small black box in the middle of the table. This went on for hours, and this person even said that even their managers were standing by the doors with their hands behind their back, completely expressionless. Finally, one of the members got up, picked up the black box, and left, and everybody smiled. None of them exchanged a word, but they all got up and left at the same time, and then they were normal in the lobby, smiling and laughing with each other. This person said they have no idea what was in the box. Another creepy thing that happened was that this person noticed a secret elevator. They said that Club 33 is full of hidden details, and there is an elevator that the public uses. Well, not the public, but the members. And it's amazing. It's old-fashioned. It's a lift designed to fit Walt Disney's personal taste. It's full of hidden details, but supposedly there's another elevator that this person witnessed seeing, one that supposedly doesn't exist. It was around 2 a.m. and the last of this private party of VIPs that this person was working for left. They were polishing some wine glasses when they heard a whirring, like a mechanical noise coming from behind them, so they turned around, and behind a wine rack, one of the wooden panels had slid open to reveal the inside of another elevator. This person said that the inside of this elevator looked old, like the mirrors were fogged, there were like rusted details, flickering lights, but they were facing it head on, right? Just looking at it. It looks empty, and they're watching as the doors slide shut, and right before they close, they see a hand reach out, and it was small and pale. They said it was like a split second, like it almost looked like someone was trying to stop the door from closing, and then it was gone. So this person immediately finds their manager, and they say, is there another elevator in here? And the manager says there's no other elevators besides the main one. And this person says, no, I absolutely saw an elevator. Like, there's an elevator here. And this manager says, no, I've worked here for X amount of years. There's no elevator. I would know about it. This person also said that security at Disney is like lock and key. There are cameras everywhere besides the bathroom, but there's a surprising lack of cameras inside Club 33. This person said that maybe there are cameras and they're just hidden, but this area is not as under as high security or surveillance as the other areas in the park. Another weird thing about Club 33 is that it has a lot of secret rooms. They're not really secret for people who work there, but they're really just used for private meetings, high-profile dinners, things that the park just doesn't want many people to know about, including park staff. There's one room that nobody is ever allowed to enter, including staff, and it's locked. This person said this door is not marked. It's just a small brass keyhole. There's no plaque on the door, nothing like that. And in the entire time that this person worked there, they never saw anyone go in or come out except for one. It was late. This person was about to leave for the night, about 2 a.m, and they saw a man in a black suit and a hat rush in and open the door. He was walking quickly, almost like he was being chased or followed by someone. He goes in, he closes the door behind him. And this person waited for as long as they could, but they never saw him come out. All of this secrecy really started weighing on the person who emailed me, and they had been considering quitting even though it was a good job. But the final straw came one night within the last 5 years. They did not say when. Club 33 was closed for a very exclusive group of VIPs. They had changed the atmosphere in the club. All of the chandeliers had been dimmed to low, and the lighting was just very eerie. This person's higher ranking managers had wheeled in something covered in a sheet, and when they unveiled it in the middle of the room, this person saw that it was a wax figure of Walt Disney himself. When it was unveiled, everybody in the room went silent and all stood to face in the same direction around it. Nobody was eating, nobody was drinking. This was another party where this person was instructed to just stand in the corner with their hands behind their back. And at first they thought this figure of Walt Disney was just a wax figure until he saw it move. This person said it could have just been performance art. But this wax figure was very much alive. The chest was moving up and down as if it were breathing, and the eyes opened and closed. Once this figure opened its eyes, every single member of this VIP group who was here for this dropped to their knees and bowed their head. This person quit after that. They said that they believe that something dark is going on at Club 33 because only the most successful, most elite people are invited to join. This person believes that they're doing something that most people aren't supposed to understand. Anytime this person asked questions to their superiors, they were told the same thing. That's not for you to know. And remember, all of this is for entertainment purposes only. All of this is alleged. I've never been to Disney World, but I would like to bring my son someday. So Disney, please don't come for my head. And if this video gets deleted, then maybe there is something to this.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.